Hey everybody, it's Jamie from No Getting Off This Train. Come along with me today as I do a freezer cooking session and put 5 different meals in my freezer. Putting meals in my freezer has saved me so much time and energy over the years. Whether it's like just doubling a dinner that I'm already making or spending an hour or two in the kitchen and pre-prepping meals, it has saved me so much pressure. And I love being able to show you how to do all of this, how to prepare everything, how to cook it all, how to freeze it. So over the past couple of weeks, I have taken suggestions from all of you and I've taken all of that and turned them into 5 different meals I am putting into the freezer today. So today I'm going to be making a pesto chicken and vegetables. I'm making a coconut chicken curry, a 1-pot enchilada pasta, some minestrone soup, and some Santa Fe chicken frozen lunches. So I've got all the recipes down in the description, and I also have a freezer meal plan that goes with it, which I'll talk about later, but I've got all the ingredients lined up, so let's get started. So the first thing I tell everybody to do when starting their freezer session is to print out the recipes. So I've got all the recipes right here to look from as my cheat sheet. And then I tell them and tell you to get out all of the ingredients, because if all the ingredients are out, it's going to save you time because you're not going to be running around the kitchen trying to find all the stuff. So I've got everything lined up over here. Some of them are like grouped by their recipes, some aren't. So I got all of that. Now, a couple of things that I did beforehand. First off, chicken is part of the plan, and so I've got a bunch of frozen chicken breasts right here, but I also needed some cooked and shredded chicken to start. Now I could have done this in the video, but I'm going to be using a whole bunch of other stuff like on the stovetop and rice cooker, and that was just going to be a lot. So what I did was I took about a pound of chicken breast and I put it in my Instant Pot. So I put the chicken breast in there with a cup of water and I pressure cooked it for 11 minutes. And then after it was done, I waited 5 minutes before doing a quick release. So I shredded it, and so that is right here. I also pre-chopped all of my vegetables, which I always recommend you guys do. I recommend you do everything in batches. So for example, like chopping all the vegetables at once. That way you're getting it all done at once and you don't have to go back and forth and keep going and doing that. So I've got 3 bell peppers in here. I've got 3 onions that are diced, and then I have 2 large zucchini that are already diced and ready to go. So first up, there's a couple of things that need to start cooking. So let me start doing that first, and then we'll get working on other things. I also have my little to-do list here. I just wrote down like what steps I'm doing everything in. Some of it is a little bit out of order because I already chopped up the vegetables. But the first thing we're going to do is make rice in my rice cooker. So I've got a 1.5 cups of white rice here that's already been rinsed. So I'm going to add it to my rice cooker. I'm going to add some water and then we'll cook it. I'm doing this first because this rice will take a good 45 minutes to an hour to cook. And in the meantime, I'll be able to start working on the other stuff. I'll just add some garlic salt in here for good measure. This rice is for the Santa Fe chicken lunches. So we have to make sure this is completely done first. My rice cooker has white rice function and brown rice. So turning it on for the white rice function, again, it'll take maybe 45 minutes. Let's start cooking some ground turkey as well. The only bad thing about getting out all the ingredients first is you have to move it all if you are cooking things on the stovetop. So I got the ground turkey here. This is going to be for the enchilada pasta. So I'm going to cook this along with some onion and garlic. So somebody congratulate me. I got the ground turkey out the day before. So a lot of times I forget to take meat out of the freezer. And so I remember the morning of, and then I have to get it out real quick, let it thaw as much as possible. And then of course it's still mostly frozen. So this shouldn't take a whole lot longer, which is amazing. So again, this is the ground turkey for the enchilada pasta. So I'm going to let the ground turkey cook. I'm going to let the rice cook. And while that's going to give us time to start filling up the bags with the other meals. Here's the next important thing, which is labeling our freezer bags. I have 4 of them here. The containers right here are for the Santa Fe chicken because I'll be dividing them into meal prep containers. So yeah, before you put all this stuff in it, you want to write down what's in here. So first off, you're going to put the date, and then you'll put the name of the recipe. So this one, I'm going to do the pesto chicken. And if there are any cooking instructions, which there will be, you'll want to write them down here. Because you could put this right here, but if you don't keep the recipe with you, you're not going to remember how to do everything. So let's see. We're going to dump in the slow cooker. And for this one, you don't have to thaw it out. I like to just put everything in frozen. So we're going to cook on low for 4 to 6 hours. And that way you know exactly what to do with it. You could also put down like what you want to serve it with. Like for this pesto chicken and vegetables, there's really not a carb that goes with it or like that's in here. So I'm going to say serve with rice. So we've got that. And then from there, we'll go on to the next one and so forth until we finish them. So this enchilada pasta is a little bit different because we're not adding the pasta in here. We need to add it on cooking day. Plus, this is not a slow cooker meal. So we're going to dump in a large pot. We're going to, let's see, we need to add 1 1/4 cups of water. And then boil, and then stir in. Looks like the recipe is in grams. I have to figure that out. We'll just say 2 cups of pasta, and then we'll cook for 8 to 10 minutes. And then we've got that. Oh yes, serve with cheese. I'm not going to put the cheese in here. You could actually take the shredded cheese and put it in a smaller freezer bag. And I don't know if you want to like staple it to here or tape it to the bag, but I usually have shredded cheese in the fridge anyway, so that's not a huge deal. And then this one, minestrone soup, we'll put it in the slow cooker. We'll cook on low for like 6 hours. And this also calls for pasta. So we'll add 1 cup of elbows, 30 minutes before finishing. So we've got that. All right, bags are done. Let me stir this ground turkey, add in some onion, and then we'll start filling some of these bags. Now at this point, I have a crap ton of cans. So again, with the whole like batch prepping, I'm going to open all the cans first, and then that'll make it a whole lot easier to add them to the bags. All right, I'm going to start with the 2 chicken meals, just because I've got the chicken right here, and I may as well just put them all in here at once and then wash my hands once and be done with it. So I've got the chicken curry and the pesto chicken. So I'm just going to add both of these in here. This is probably like 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds per bag. And by the way, I love these bag holders here because look, it's holding up these bags perfectly. I don't have to worry about them falling over or anything, which has happened to me in the past and it is not fun. I have an affiliate link down below if you guys want to grab some for yourself. So I've got some pesto that I'm putting in the pesto chicken. This was not a full jar. I used like 3 tablespoons of it for another meal, and I needed a way to use it up, and I figured this is perfect. All right, I'm gonna add just half of the zucchini. Looking at the recipe, it called for 1 zucchini, and I diced up 2 of them. So I'll just maybe put this in the fridge and use it for something else. It also calls for some carrots. I'm just adding in some baby carrots. It called for like whole carrots that were peeled and sliced, but I don't mind baby carrots. These are small enough that they'll be fine. It also calls for 1 can of drained corn. And then lastly, just 1 cup of vegetable broth and some seasonings. So it originally called for a packet of ranch seasoning, and I don't know if ranch goes with pesto. I really don't. I also don't know if Italian dressing mix goes well in it, but this does sound a little more appetizing than ranch, so I'm going to add that in there instead. All right, that one's done. Now we have the chicken curry. So this one calls for 1 bell pepper. You know what though, I think I might add some of the bell pepper into the pesto chicken as well. Then we have a can of chickpeas that's drained. That might sound weird, but I make chickpea curry a lot, or sometimes, and chickpea curry is so good. All right, it also calls for 3 tablespoons of peanut butter, and then also something like 3 tablespoons of lime juice. I'm just going to briefly measure it. Then we've got 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. See, I like these meals because all you're doing is just dumping ingredients. There's no cooking involved. I mean, I had to chop the vegetables, but that part was easy. Then we've got red curry paste. So I'm gonna do, it says 1.5 tablespoons, but I might do like 2 tablespoons just because I really love curry. Oh my gosh, the spoon will not fit. There, I'll just grab a teaspoon and just like dump it in there. Then we've got curry powder. I'm not even measuring, I'm just putting in 2 tablespoons, something like that. Then we've got garlic powder. Yeah, I forgot it needs part of the onion as well. And then lastly, we have a can of coconut milk. Now, with meals like this, it's a pretty big bag. You could lay it out flat if you wanted to and freeze it flat, but what I like to do is freeze them in like kind of a cube shape like this, especially if I am making it in the slow cooker, because if I freeze them flat, they are not going to fit in my slow cooker. Whereas if I put them in a cube, I can put it in completely frozen and it'll be just fine. So there's the pesto chicken and the chicken curry. Let's get a couple of the others together. Now we have the enchilada pasta and the minestrone soup. So first off, we'll just do the enchilada pasta because it's right here. I'll go ahead and carefully add the ground turkey to the bag. This one also is super easy. Well, the soup is too. Again, you're just dumping a bunch of ingredients in the bag and calling it a day. And so here's the other thing. I am making 5 different meals, but you don't have to. Now, I could have also doubled each recipe and made 10 meals instead of 5. And that doesn't take a whole lot of extra time because just of the fact that you're cooking both pounds of ground turkey at once or whatever. But again, you don't have to make all 5. If you just wanted to, let's say, make or double the curry and double the pesto chicken, like you could totally do that and not have to worry about making the other 3 recipes. Or, you know, you could pick 3 of the recipes to make and do it that way. These are all just ideas that I'm showing you. So 2 cans of enchilada sauce inside here, and then a packet of taco seasoning. So by the way, I said earlier that I asked both YouTube and my email list for freezer meal ideas. And they came up with some good ideas, which is what I'm using here. For example, somebody wanted dairy-free meals, and the minestrone soup is dairy-free. The pasta is not dairy-free. but the curry, dairy-free. And then somebody also wanted like meal prep lunches they could take into work. So that's where the Santa Fe chicken is coming in. Okay, I just realized I added onion to this. I was supposed to put it in one of the soup. It's all right, it's fine. But yeah, this is all I need for the enchilada pasta. So we'll move that aside and then put everything in for the soup. So we'll add some more of the carrots, then we'll add some garlic, and then this is a can of chickpeas and a can of kidney beans. They're both drained and rinsed. There's a can of diced tomatoes and 2 cans of tomato sauce. And then I'll add a bunch of Italian seasoning. Then we'll add salt and pepper. Now this also calls for chicken broth, and I forgot to write it on here, but I didn't want to add like 2 cans of chicken broth in here just because it's going to make the bag way too heavy. So I'll have to remember to add the 2 cans when I cook the soup. And then again, with these, I'm going to close the bag and then kind of put it in a cube shape just so it freezes like that. And then same thing for this one. All right, so the rice just finished as well. So I'm going to set these aside and we're going to get the Santa Fe chicken ready. All right, this next part is really easy. So I'm just adding in a can of corn and a can of black beans. I'll put in the chicken. Then I'll put in most of a jar of salsa. It's about 16 ounces. We got taco seasoning. And then lastly, we've got a block of cream cheese. This pot is a little small, but I think it'll be fine. And then all you do is just let it heat up and mix together. And then you put it in the meal prep containers with the rice. And honestly, this is one of those recipes you could just make this. Like, you don't have to make all the other freezer meals. You could totally make up even a double batch of this and have enough work lunches to last you a couple of weeks, because this makes 6 containers worth. So having 12 containers in the freezer, enough for a little over 2 weeks, it's amazing. All right, after about 5 to 7 minutes or so, it'll start looking like this. All you're doing is just heating it through, making sure that the cream cheese has melted and stirred all throughout. So now we are ready to divide them into the meal prep containers. And this part is also pretty easy. You're just going to divide the rice and the chicken mixture among all of these containers. Now, one thing to note is that with any freezer meal that you make, you want to make sure that everything has cooled to room temperature before you put these in the freezer. Because if you put this in while it's still hot, it's going to, well, the condensation from putting the lid on them is going to form ice crystals inside, and it's going to affect the quality of your food. Also, putting food in hot into the freezer is going to thaw out all the other items that are in the freezer around it, and we don't want that. So it'll probably take about an hour or so for these guys to cool off. The other ones, well, the ground beef has cooled off by now, but everything else, I didn't do any cooking to those, so those can go directly into the freezer. So most freezer meals will stay fresh up to 3 months in the freezer, and you can still eat them after that. They're still safe to eat. It's just the longer that they stay in the freezer, the bigger chance they have of getting freezer burn. So we wrote down the date of everything on the bags, and so you know the exact date that you put them in the freezer. So just look at that date and just make sure that you use it up within 3 months so that it tastes its best. Which with me, these guys are definitely not going to last 3 months. This is one of my favorite meal prep lunches to make because they're so easy. Now I think that I don't know, there are microwave TV dinners out there that are similar to this, but they're a little expensive and they don't have quite as much food as this right here. So you're getting a lot more for your money, and it probably tastes a lot better too. So I've got all of these. Again, I'm going to wait about an hour or so before putting the lids on these. But then these guys, you can heat from frozen in the microwave. Just do like the defrost setting for maybe like 40 seconds, and then just cook it normally for 30 seconds at a time, stirring it. You could also put it in the fridge overnight and thaw it out as well. And there you have it. All the freezer meals are done. So that took maybe about an hour and a half from start to finish. May not take as much time for you. I had to move the camera around and all that stuff, but it could take between an hour to an hour and a half to make these 5 meals. And again, you don't have to make all 5 of these. You can pick one and double or triple the recipe. You could pick like 2 of them and just make like 2 or 3 of those, whatever it is that you want to do. I have the recipes for all of these in the description, but I also have a freezer meal plan that I made for these. So it's got the entire prep plan. It has a grocery list for everything that you need, as well as a pre-shopped grocery cart at Walmart. All you have to do is click the button. It adds all the stuff to your cart. You can just check out. It has all the recipes, including the nutrition information and cost breakdown. It also has the step-by-step instructions that I did today. And it is all in one easy format so that it'll help you go through this process a whole lot faster. So again, having freezer meals ready is going to be so helpful on those busy nights when either you have no energy or you have no idea what to make for dinner. These are here for you. So leave me a comment and tell me if you have tried any of these freezer meals that I have shown. And if not, which one do you want to try? As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you later. Are you looking for easy dinners to feed your busy family? Click the link in the description to grab a free recipe book with 10 simple and delicious dinners that my family loves. Download it now and tell me what you think.